They say performance has an expiration date, but what if they're wrong? No matter where you start, the goal's the same: to be better, stronger, wiser, bolder. We're here for the relentless, those that don't back down, don't compromise, and don't quit. This is training for Masters athletes by Masters athletes, with a community that holds you steady. So say goodbye to random workouts, because whether you're stepping into following a program for the first time or stepping onto the podium, your journey starts here.
All right. Hey, team. It is the Boulder Athlete Podcast. This is interview number 7, and I'm Josh, and I'm here with Jamie Free. It is Jamie. It ain't James. I made that mistake once. Unless he's in trouble, it's Jamie. Thanks for being here. Happy Friday. I appreciate you making time for this.
Thanks for having me.
So, Jamie, I want to actually start before I give you the mic and allow you to talk about some of your history and stuff, which I really want to get into. I got to share a story about how I first got to know who Jamie Free was. It was on the leaderboard, and we were both doing mayhem programming at the time. This was probably like 3-4 years ago. And I'm like, who is this Jamie Free guy on the leaderboard? Dude is just putting up some insane numbers, and squat numbers and deadlift numbers, and all the strength numbers were off the charts. And then you're met kind of like a madman too. And I'm like, so I just put you in this like category and up on this pedestal. And I was like, all right, if I can be in the same ballpark as this dude on any given day, I'm feeling pretty good. And then I got pulled into a group chat that you were a part of, and we've been on this group chat together now for years. Maybe kind of bumped into each other a little bit here and there, and like chatted a bit, but never really chatted. And then we first met just at FOTC not a few weeks ago, and that was the first time I got to shake your hand and see you in person. And by the way, the dudes that we all chat with, have always said such incredible things about you and hold you in very high regard and have a ton of respect for you. So it was really cool to meet you, and all to say thanks again for making time for this today.
Absolutely. You buttering me up for something.
Yeah, man. Now I'm going to hit you with the hard stuff.
Seriously.
Okay, so Jamie, I want to get into your background because you've got, like many, a very interesting background. You've been in the health and fitness space for a long time, and you've been, and I know just a little bit about that, and not very much. So I'm personally super interested for you to just kind of walk me through like what your story is, kind of how you got into health and fitness, and what is your evolution in the health and fitness space look like?
I've always played sports. I started skating. Lived in Rhode Island. I was an ice hockey player from the age of 3. So hockey, baseball, pretty much whatever my parents could get me into. I was really bad at basketball, by the way, so that didn't last very long. But I played sports my whole life. But even though I played sports my whole life, I was overweight. I was a 210-pound 6th grader. So I'm 210 pounds now. So it's like one of those things where, it wasn't a pretty 210 pounds. I got bullied a lot. I got made fun of, and, there's a lot of different ways you can go at that point. I chose to take that out on athletics. I could have taken it out on Doritos, but it didn't work out that way. That's not my personality. I've always had a chip on my shoulder. It's what worked really well for me in CrossFit. When people said you couldn't do something, I had a coach tell me I would never snatch over 225 with my mobility. It's like, all right, I'll show you.
Game on.
So, that's the way I played college football. That's the way I played hockey my whole life. You tell me I can't do it, I'm going to do it twice just to piss you off. So
sounds about right.
Yeah.
Where'd you play college football?
I played at Ithaca, upstate New York.
Oh, right on. Sorry, did you say what division? Division
3. Yeah, I was a running back in Division 3.
Yeah, right on. I didn't know we shared that similarity. I played Division 2 ball, and so that's cool. I think I've seen some pictures actually of you somewhere along the line, maybe in the chat.
You were a wide receiver. I was shocked to hear that.
Yeah, I know. People are like, oh, what did you play, linebacker? I'm like, no, dude, I was like 15 pounds lighter in college. Didn't look like, proportionately maybe I was similar, but I was much leaner and far more explosive.
I would have said a in-the-box safety if I had seen you.
That would have been, I would have loved that actually.
Yeah.
Had a small opportunity to do it, but I wanted to be on offense, score touchdowns.
There you go.
thanks for sharing that. I actually don't want to move past it because you said something in there that really resonated with me. It was getting bullied.
Yeah.
I definitely was in that camp, and that to this day, I can look back at those moments and say, I'm this way because of that. And they weren't like horrifying moments, but boy, they impacted me big time. Talk to me more about like what that experience was like for you.
I still hold it. I hold it pretty close to me as something, like you said, that motivated me to do more, to be better, to put myself in a position where that wouldn't happen again. Now, no matter what position you're in, there's going to be people that hate on you. So I didn't know that at the time, but like, no matter if you're fat or fit, someone's going to have something to say. And I think what I learned through that period of time is, one, I will never be a bully. If I'm going to talk shit, I'm going to talk shit right to your face. I have no problem with that. And if I would rather work it out, if I'm wrong, cool. I'm going to admit I'm wrong. If I'm just hating on you because I think it's bullshit, but it's not, like, you could ask Aaron Huchin. We were on Mayhem board together, and he showed up at my gym. He's like, I gotta see if this guy's putting up real scores.
That sounds like Aaron.
Yeah. So he shows up at the gym and probably was hating on me a little bit before. Well, it all worked out because I wasn't faking my scores.
Worked out meaning you mopped the floor with him?
Well, it was a good workout for me. Let's just say that.
Okay.
But, Aaron and I are now really good friends. I would rather those situations where you do it to someone's face rather than behind someone's back, and the way I raise my kids, if they're bullies, they're the ones that are going to get punished. I'm not, like, that's not how this is going to work. Yeah. So I will not perpetuate that cycle.
Yeah, that completely relates and resonates. I will never be a bully. Never have been. In fact, I can almost guarantee you will go out of your way to ensure someone else isn't being bullied. And you would do something in the midst of that moment to create comfort for the person that was and let that other person know what's what.
No, exactly. Like, I mean, my last name's Free. I remember the movie Free Willy?
Oh, yeah.
That was a nickname of mine. So, kids aren't any better these days. It's actually worse, because you have 24/7 access to someone. So
that's right.
It's something that's close to me, that I definitely want to champion for people standing up for themselves and doing what they need to do. If my child is being bullied, I want them to tell me, and then I want them to handle it if they have to. My daughter will punch someone in the face. I guarantee you that. I don't know if my son will, but my daughter, she's feisty one. So,
Is she the oldest or youngest?
She's the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's playing the older sibling card. She's a little more of that protective gene in her. This is a little off topic, but this conversation has me thinking about, I don't know if you know who Jordan B. Peterson is, but he's got this like spiel where he talks about, being dangerous. A man being dangerous is like a good thing. And then it's how the man demonstrates his maturity. And this is true for men and women, by the way, but how that person demonstrates their maturity to withhold their capabilities and use them in a way that's meaningful. Ultimately, I've not quite articulated it how as well as he did, but I really like that concept.
Yeah. He simplified it a little bit. It was a man should be dangerous, but they should be able to control it. Warrior in the garden rather than gardener in the war. Yeah. Be able to handle it. It's the one about, staring into the abyss and seeing what looks back at you. Like, I love Jordan Peterson, and a lot of people, he's pretty controversial in terms of how he's viewed. But I think that in terms of a man, in terms of someone that's trying to do something for young men, like that guy he's on the right path, because we have a lot of young men that are lost, Yeah,
agreed. I've enjoyed getting to know you. We've only got to hang out, just so minimally, but, there's been a couple little moments where I'm like, Jamie's a good dude, high integrity guy, a guy that, would definitely give you a shirt right off his back. And I don't know, until you prove that wrong, that's who you are to me. And I think that's who you are to many people in your life.
I mean, I appreciate that. I think you live your life trying to be the person that you would want to be to yourself, or the person that you would want there for you, and I have great role models. My father is awesome. I was raised by great parents, you know, so I'm not like at any sort of loss for, like, I was never wanting. And I had this conversation with him this week, actually. He came into town. My wife was out of town. I had the kids by myself, and it was kids, I have a 3.5 and a 2-year-old. So it's a lot, you know, I mean, any parent, if my wife is a stay-at-home mom, and honestly, like, that's got to be the hardest job in the world. So I had them solo, and I was like, Dad, you know, I grew up in a place, like, because a lot of people have these tough upbringings, and they had all these trials and tribulations. So I was like, I was never wanting for anything. Like, the only thing I missed really was the conversations, the helping hand on my back, you know, because he was so busy working, trying to pay for everything, that it just became, you know, I had to deal with a lot solo in terms of the emotional things. You know, and I just think that I'm going to try to change that with my kids.
Yeah, that's well said. Again, 100% relate to that. I appreciate that vulnerability. Well, we're 5 minutes into this thing, and we're getting to the good stuff. I told you I was going to hit you with the hard stuff.
Yeah, you said you want to start at the beginning. Here we are.
Yeah, no, I love this. These are exactly the conversations I want to have, because ultimately, like, you know, it's very easy for people that don't know you actually, but you've heard about you, see you on the leaderboard. I mean, you just make these assumptions about kind of who you are. Oh, this super fit, super, you know, handsome guy. He's got all the things he wants. And you can just paint that picture 1,000 different ways, but very few of the pictures that get painted are, hey, he was a kid that was bullied. You know, he's battled with, you know, being overweight at times and probably had some self-conscious challenges. And you know, that's really molded who he is today. That's not the story that people assume.
No.
So I appreciate that you shared that. People likely don't know about you.
Most of the time people won't understand. I've been a nutritionist for almost 20 years. And part of being a nutritionist came from an eating disorder. So I have recovered, or am recovering from, disordered eating constantly. Like, it was about, gosh, I can't even remember. It was probably like 2009 when I started having some disordered eating issues, you know? So coming from that, I was already started being a nutritionist. I thought there had to be some sort of, you know, obviously I had my history of being overweight, and, you know, it just spiraled. So, you know, ended up having a bulimic episodes, and then some binging and purging, and, you know, had to work my way out of it because I was too ashamed to tell anyone, you know, like, how does this dude, first of all, dudes don't talk about this.
No, man, never.
But, you know, it comes from now I can actually relate to people on a different level that they probably didn't expect, because no one expects us to go through those things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think there's a lot of benefits to having those life challenges. And, you know, yeah, I'm way more than an athlete on a leaderboard, like most of us are, you know? And that leaderboard, I will tell you, when I first started, it may have defined me, but I could give two shits now. Like, I mean, I'm more about my output. Did I give the effort? If I gave the effort and people beat me, cool, man. Like, you just bested me. Like, you beat me in a bunch of workouts, dude. I know you beat me. Like, it wasn't like a bad day for me. It was just like, hey, I got beat. Like, that's,
yeah.
I mean,
respect. You can appreciate. You can respect that, you know, whoever's able to do it, because you know what your capabilities are, and you've got confidence in what you can.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
yeah, that's cool. Well, thank you again for sharing that piece. That's I wouldn't be surprised if you had people reach out specifically because they're looking for somebody to talk to that they've not engaged in a conversation with stuff like that before. You said you've been a nutritionist for about 20 years. No question that those experiences that you battled through did help you relate to people and makes you an even more valuable confidant and asset in their life as they're trying to navigate something similar. Are you also a coach?
I mean, I co-own CrossFit Trivium and CrossFit Trivium Nippers Corner, and I oversee another gym in Indiana as well called Mad Apple CrossFit. I used to be performance coach when I was in Nashville. I'd moved in August, but when I was in Nashville, I trained athletes, youth athletes. I like to be busy. I like to work. The working has never been an issue for me. So, you know, yeah, I mean, I do a bunch of things. Right now, I'm a director of corporate wellness for a company in Indiana and oversee a couple athletic endeavors that's part of my job as well. I do some consulting on the side for a hormone company. And what else do I do? Still doing the nutrition thing, possibly about to start another business, talking with men.
Mm.
I've started a bunch of groups that are essentially tribes, like men's groups. You're part of one of them. Well, two of them, I guess, the subgroup, the Boulder subgroup, and then the MFC group. And then my Datter Days group kind of started all of them. For someone that's considered antisocial and doesn't smile much, it's pretty funny that all these groups kind of started in one place and then grew from there. I think it's a testament to the people that are involved in those groups more than anything else. Yeah, I'm just, all that's to say is, always got something going on.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Your plate is quite full.
Yeah.
I hope you're carving some time for yourself and creating some kind of balance in there along the way. You strike me as someone that will put someone else before themselves, whether that's family or friends or these men's groups, because you know the value of it and you've had a set of experiences that are driving you to go give and support others. And while that is incredibly heroic, and I commend you for it, I know where that can also lead, which is like burnout for yourself. And so, like, what do you do to find balance?
Before, it's hard to say because, like, I work out so I can let off steam, and working out has changed for me over the years. Now that I have two kids, my goals with it have changed. It's, my goal is to spend time with them. Some days I may get 45 minutes of working out in, some days I get 2 hours in, and what I don't do is beat myself up over it anymore. Because previously I used to be like, if it's on the sheet, this is what I'm supposed to do. I need to do it all. And I know you've been there too. It's just one of those things where you try to get everything as possible. You want to take every last bit of it and make sure you get it in. But like these days, it's like, if my choice is get it a second session in or get a longer session in or hang out with my kids, I'm with my kids. Like there's not even a question of that, So, and it has affected my fitness a little bit. You saw me at FOTC. I didn't have it, and that kind of prompted me to make the switch to jump over with you guys to Boulder, just so I had you guys in my corner and the ability to have chat with you guys and talk about it and, accountability. I think that's incredibly important as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me be real clear. When I looked at you at FOTC, not a part of me thought, wow, he doesn't have it.
Well, you're very kind.
Got it. Now you kept saying, well, I haven't been. I'm like, something you're doing is working because you look fit as hell and you're performing on the floor. But I know that your bar is high and I know what you're capable of. And I know that's the gap that you're referring to. So you get some grace, but I'm glad you're with Boulder either way. So it worked out for the best.
Thank you.
There's a little something I want to hear more about. I know as part of your journey, you've got to interact with some really cool folks, like big names in the space, and you've supported them. And without going into details and what their needs are and how you support them, what's that been like? That's pretty cool. Maybe share a little bit about who some of those people are and how you came to engage with them and just what that world's been like.
Most of it's just dumb luck, man. I mean, it's like people showed up at my gym and, like Brooke and Sydney Wells, I've been blessed enough to work with them. Will Morad, man, I mean, I worked with Will for a very long time, and he's a different sort of athlete. So a lot of people need an exact map. Will is so analytical that like when he was traveling, like he went to Ireland for the Filthy 150. He'd point out where he's like, hey, this is where I'm staying. What can I eat? And it literally, I circled the whole map around where he was. I pointed out restaurants that he could get, what he could get at each restaurant. Dude is just a machine. Like if he was healthy, that I guarantee you, he would have been on a podium at the games. Those guys, they're fantastic. They're such nice people. I've been lucky enough to work with, guys like Dansby Swanson. I think he's with Chicago now. When he was a first overall pick for Arizona and then got traded to Atlanta.
Sorry, is that baseball? I don't know who that is.
Yeah. Okay. I know you're almost in Canada, so no one really cares about baseball up there.
I mean, Mariners haven't done well in forever, so my baseball days are long behind me.
Yeah. Well, I worked with a lot of NFL guys, some all-pro offensive linemen, but, the majority of the people I work with are just average people. Worked with a ton of Masters Games athletes, but, I could literally talk about nutrition all day. I've been doing it forever, and I literally just love it, so.
That's awesome. Well, no doubt that passion comes through with your clients, and that's part of the appeal to work with you. And yeah, that's really cool. Another thing I want to touch on is MFC, your affiliation with MFC. Like, how did that come to be? Because I don't think people know that you're kind of one of the key guys behind the scenes. You want to unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't really need people to know that I'm behind the scenes. I don't want to be, I don't want to be the face of it. I've been part of it since we began it. It began in 2019. It was supposed to be a media company. It wasn't supposed to, we weren't supposed to be an events company. It was just supposed to be like, we were in covered Legends when it was in Carlsbad. So like we covered it, we put content out, we did all this stuff. And then all of a sudden the COVID hit and the games got canceled. And our buddy Heath Moody, who's a phenomenal athlete and in multiple time games athlete, we were like, well, you need to finish your season. So Bobby Petrus is like, let's just rent out the convention center and we'll go ahead and throw it here. And Indiana had lighter COVID laws. So we threw a 130 person event and Masters Fitness Collective or Championship was born.
Right on. So now all of the great success that MFC gets credited with, we know, hey, Jamie's the dude behind all of it.
So and I'll tell you this, and I'm humble enough to understand, like I had a very small part in a lot of it. Eamon Coyne was our original director. He started it. He did what he could. And then we switched directors to Jess Ortiz, Ron Ortiz's wife. She did a great job over the last 2 years and she's moved on. Now we have Chris Martinez, who is, his wife is a multiple-time games athlete. His son is a multiple-time games athlete. He's been in the space forever. He's thrown competitions that are highly successful. We have the right people in place, and I'm smart enough to know that I am not those people and they should be in those roles, not me. I'm just here to help and make sure that it goes smoothly.
That's cool. Well, appreciate the humility. Just one of Boulder's core values, by the way, and you're a super humble dude. You talked about joining Boulder. I want to go there. Like, we were at MFC together. You were kicking ass. You and Ian, I think, were on the same team, right? You guys were paired up together, and so that was in the 35 plus division. You guys did quite well. Remind me where you guys finished.
Yeah, we took 5th.
Well, still, I mean, that's pretty dang impressive.
I held him back.
We got to hang out a little bit. There was, Jason's there, the Boulder crew is there. We had a fun little setup. We all got to just kind of chill together between events. Like, was it there that you kind of started thinking, man, maybe Boulder could be a thing for me, or did it happen before that? Like, what kind of triggered it for you?
I mean, our buddy Luke Schmidt, he is a wonderful recruiter. Yeah,
Mayor Schmidt.
But he came and he talked to me. He was like, hey, this might be cool for you. And I was like, I was with Mayhem for 5 years and I love Mayhem and I was very fit on Mayhem. Guys all left and I missed working out with my buddies. So it just worked out well for me to move over at that time. I was disappointed with my performance. So it was one of those things where I needed a mental change to make that, a priority to get physically better. Because I can't reiterate it. I definitely disappointed myself with my performance in that, especially on a team. Like, I hate holding my teammate back. So I don't want that to happen again. So next year when we come back, it's not going to be the same.
I'm glad you made the switch. Well, first off, the community's been fantastic, super welcoming. And we have seen some real cool growth recently, and to see just names and faces on the leaderboard, and the Circle app is where a lot of great engagement goes on there. The level of support that goes on there is sincere and cool, all the things you would want for a community. And then, for those that are incredibly competitive, man, seeing some super competitors on the leaderboard nowadays and having you join has totally shaken up the leaderboard. And Luke Affield is on there now, and boy, he's putting up some crazy numbers. And Aaron Huchin is a stud athlete, and the list goes on. Forgive me, Boulder community, if I miss anybody.
Luke is special. Luke Affield is special. He's just
dude is a freaking beast. It's 225, and he moves like a guy that's 195.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a really good athlete, and he's gonna shake things up for sure here in the next year when he gets an opportunity to align his schedule with competitive season. But it's been really cool to have you there, because this is me speaking for myself. I love chasing and feeling like, man, that athlete is so much better at X, Y, and Z things than me, and that forces me to work extra hard at X, Y, and Z things to try to be competitive in that part of my fitness. Meanwhile, athlete over here is a specialist in something else. I'm like, well, I want to be competitive with that too. And so I need that to make me better.
Yeah.
And I wish I could say I was just incredibly self-motivated and not extrinsically motivated, but no, I have to tap into the extrinsic to get me where I want to be.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that, seeing that and being like, all right, well, shit, I better pick it up. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, my mindset for a very long time, I had to work out solo. My wife had an accident right after we got married and she couldn't walk. I was training alone in my garage for 3 years, just plugging away, and I had to find the motivation somehow. It's a lot easier now not to have you guys. I didn't have any of that back then. It was just me and the equipment. But I think the move has been beneficial, mainly because of the community.
What is your aspiration right now? And I'm sure at one point it was one thing, and today it may be the same thing, or it might be different. Like, what are your, if we're just talking athletically, like what, I think business wise, you're going to start up 5 more businesses before this call's over. Athletically, like, what are your aspirations?
I mean, I think someday I'd like to wear the games jersey. I want to see what the next couple of years are like, and how this develops before I sink a bunch of my time and take it away from my family. Because it does take time. I mean, I can't just show up anymore. Like 2019, I could just show up. I had it in 2019. I was 20th in the world when they cut it to 10. It was like, it was a rough year for me.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's one of those things where, I don't know, like at some point I do want to get back to that being my goal, but right now it's just not a priority. My priority, I just really enjoy training.
Yeah, it shows.
Yeah.
It shows. That I share a very similar philosophy and set of principles around, like, look, I'm not going to take additional time away from my family. I work out by myself in the garage every morning, and that's my zone. And then I fly in here, shower, and thank goodness I can work from home.
Yeah.
Because there's no commute. But if you're talking to me about a second session, forget about it. That's not in the cards for me.
Yeah.
But I do have aspirations of going to the games, and especially getting a taste of it last year. Like, now I'm like, well, yeah, now I really want to go back. And that's one of the things that I'm really convicted about with Boulder, is that the program is so concentrated that I can do it in 90 minutes and feel like this is enough for me, I think, to still make a lot of progress and achieve what I want to achieve, and feel good that I'm not sacrificing additional time away from the family.
Yeah, I mean, it's come across as something that I can definitely do. Now I wake up really early and I coach at 5:30, so I'm usually getting about an hour to an hour 15 minutes in before that on Mondays through Wednesdays. If I have time, I'll finish it. Sometimes I don't have time to do the Metcon all the time, so it just depends on the day. But yeah, I mean, the programming has been pretty concise, and it kicked my butt a little bit. My shoulder stamina is not what it needs to be. So, but we're figuring it out.
Yeah, copy that. It'll definitely come around. You stick to it.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to talk about, we're at the tail end of this open.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it. Like, how's it going for you? How you feeling about it? I think you have not yet done 25.3, right?
Tomorrow morning.
Okay. How's it going just so far?
It's fine. I mean, I was 2 seconds slower on 25.2 than I was on 22.3. That was a pretty, I guess, fit year for me. So it's nice to see that I'm not that far off of that. The first workout, I'm 210 pounds, man. It's just a lot to push off the ground, So I think I was sitting at like 151 after the first 2 workouts. So, and I think I'd like to go towards, semifinals and actually give it a good effort. The fact that it's only 3 weeks after this is kind of nice. So I'll put the next 3 weeks in. Kevin Jones said he's going to train with me a little bit. So, he is a wild man when it comes to going at it. So we'll see what happens. If I can put a good effort forward, maybe the games is an option, and Maybe it's not, but it's in Columbus. It's like 2 hours away from me, so that's not too bad.
Well, I'm definitely rooting for you, Jamie, and I'm eager to hear how it goes tomorrow as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely, you guys would be the first ones to hear.
Yep, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Jamie, this has been really cool. I'm super grateful that we got as transparent as we got, and you went as vulnerable as you did. I think people are going to really resonate with that, and yeah, it helps me understand you even more. And I had a pretty good appreciation for the kind of man that you were, and now I can see another layer, and that's really cool. And I'm glad that you shared.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Well, good luck tomorrow morning.
Appreciate it, man.
I'll be watching my texts and see what that is coming through.
As soon as I catch my breath, I'll let you know.
All right. It's a deal. All right. Thanks, brother. Have a good weekend.